This segment of GM Corner features Mr. Rob Oosterhuis. He is the General Manager, COO of Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club in Boca Raton, Florida. Rob, good morning, how are you?
Good to be here.
Good to see you, thank you. Let's start off with kind of the beginning of your GM career. I understand that your start was actually on the golf side of the industry,
Right.
Is that correct?
Right,
Can
yes.
you tell us a little bit about your history there?
Yeah, played as a junior golfer, played in college, and then decided to go more of the teaching route and thought that's what I was ultimately going to do. And then wound up getting into more of luxury hospitality with Four Seasons. And then next thing I knew, went from Dallas to Costa Rica.
Okay.
And in Costa Rica, I was given a lot more responsibility. So where it was like I was the small GM of a small club. And I really liked the taste of that. And when I left Four Seasons and moved back to the States, I worked for a hotel and golf management company called JC Resorts in San Diego.
Okay.
We had about a dozen golf courses, and I oversaw the operations there. And I think for me, that's Four Seasons got me into loving the hospitality and the service side of it, and JC got me really loving the business side of it. And so then when actually Four Seasons came calling again, I went back and rejoined them in Santa Barbara and oversaw a beach club and a country club, and that's where I knew I was all in on the country club side, and now the last, almost 9 years I've been on the member-owned side and really enjoy that. And so, I've been in Florida for about 3 years now, and hoping to encourage other people who maybe aren't going the traditional GM route to look, to go off their path from golf or tennis or culinary or whatever it might be to take a look at this.
Yeah, so you mentioned Costa Rica, you mentioned Texas, you mentioned California.
Yeah.
I don't know if you mentioned California, but I know you went to school at UCLA, right?
Yeah.
And you were at Sherwood Country Club for a while?
Yeah.
And then now you're in Florida, so care to share any of the similarities or differences of your experience with the different regions of the country?
Well, I think as the more west you go, the more you get a little less traditional in the clubs. California, I think we were really able to experiment with a lot of things, and it was a much more casual environment. But in Florida, what we've found is it's a slightly more traditional environment, but the members want to see just as much experimentation and as much innovation as we did in California. And just like with anything, you're looking for balance. You can't, and not everything can be this, fireworks and sparklers.
Yeah.
You need to have that balance of tradition and the new. And I think the trick is threading that needle, right? It's trying to find where that happy medium is. And California was my home where I grew up. I was born in England and raised in South Africa for a while, so I've had a good global run.
Yeah.
But California is really where I spent most of my life.
Yeah.
And now to go to Florida, where that region where we are in Southeast Florida there's just this crush of club intelligence and knowledge there, and really idea sharing. And I think that was one thing that I enjoyed in California, and I've really enjoyed in Florida. I didn't know what to expect, didn't know what I didn't know, and everybody there, we all have different clubs, but we all want to share ideas, and because we're all facing the same challenges too.
Great. So you mentioned, so you start off on the golf side. You went through the hospitality side, so you got a lot of front of house experience there. So your career has been very balanced in many different ways, right? To collect to a broad set of educational tools, I'm sure. So if I look at your club now, Royal Palm Yacht and Country Club, you are a golf club. You are a yacht club as well that offers a boating lifestyle. You have all the other traditional amenities such as fitness and racket sports as well. So tell us a little bit about the fact that you have two separate campuses relative to a golf clubhouse. You call it the Country Club, is that right?
Right. Yeah.
And then congratulations, by the way, of the opening of your 18-hole golf course that was renovated.
Yep.
And then the yacht club side of things with your other clubhouse facility there. How has it been for you from the management side to have such a broad level of amenities for your members?
Well, I think I guess I've been lucky enough. When I was in Costa Rica, we had the golf club was remote from the resort, so you had to sort of be in both places at once. When I went to Santa Barbara, when I was in San Diego, I had 12 places, so you had to try and be seen a little bit at all those places. But really in Santa Barbara was where it started. Was got a country club and a beach club. They're a couple miles apart, so you've got to try and balance that. A lot of some different members at each, some members of both. And then at Sherwood and Royal Palm, very similar, two distinct campuses, similar with how the amenities are split up. And, I think, again, it's trying to find the balance. For me, selfishly, it's trying to find the balance of my time, what needs the attention. And we've got great people who work there. I'm just trying to make sure that they've got the tools, and I'm trying to be another set of eyes for them. My job is to take obstacles out of their way as best as I can. I think with, in South Florida, it's not what, the jokes that everybody likes to make about, it's the golf and it's just the dining. I mean, it's golf and dining, but as you and I have talked about, it's what does that dining look like? You got to, you want to have some elevated offerings from time to time. You got your regular, a la carte dining. Then you've got to have the outdoor uber casual side, and, to where we've said, this area requires a jacket and this area requires just have some sort of clothing on, and I'm a golf guy, and I'm a traditionalist when it comes to golf, but we try and softly move different things in there. I think dress codes have changed all over the place, as everybody's seeing all over the country. But I think the multi-campus thing is, it's got to be balanced, and I think there's I try and steal little tips and tricks from other club managers who have big campuses, multi-facility areas, and sometimes it's planning that spontaneity, if you will. I'm just going to pop in here, but you've planned to do it. And some people will tell themselves, I'm going to be in every room of every part of the facility every day, and I think that there's no right way to do it. And I think what might be right for me one month, I change the next month, and it just depends on what's going on. As you say, we had a golf course that was closed down. We had tennis courts that were closed down. We had a brand new restaurant that was under construction. Our bocce and croquet were closed down. So now we've got a lot of attention on some other areas that maybe weren't getting used as much. That meant more time in wellness and more time in a la carte. So that was just leaning into those times. That's what I would encourage people, like, lean into where what's going on, whatever's going on in your club.
Great.